Today is July the 22nd. I'd like to call the Smithfield Town Committee meetings to order. The first thing on our agenda today is we will be going into closed session. Attorney Riddick, can I get you to read the
Yes, ma'am.
code?
We need a motion to go into the closed session for consultation with legal counsel concerning potential litigation pursuant to 2.2-3711A7 of the Code of Virginia and the discussion of the acquisition or disposition of publicly held real property pursuant to 2.2-3711A3 of the Code of Virginia.
So moved. Second.
It has been properly motioned by Councilman Smith. I'm sorry. I had a seniors moment there. And second by Councilman Collins. Clerk, call for the question.
Councilman Brooks?
Yes.
Councilman Smith? Councilman Pat?
Yes.
Councilman Collins?
Yes.
Councilman Gibbs?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Butler?
Yes. And we shouldn't be very long. I wasn't even thinking about the closed session. Couldn't get me, could you?
Test 1 2 1 2. Test 1 2. Test test test. Test 1 2.
So your last stuff was from your name, please?
Did they tell you about it? I came in to tell you.
Not your attorney, that you found one.
Yeah,
I knew you did find one close.
I found one more. My daughter found it, but it was the last one.
I texted Lindsay and said that Chris found one on his name, please. And he texted me back and he goes, must have. But in between the time I texted him and I knew he told me that the one that you found, that's the right.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
You get 5 of them.
Test 1 2.
Answer you too.
Oh, it's test. No, you don't turn yours off.
Is it stay on,
Stay on, yeah.
even when it's flashing red?
But then it's,
Testing 1 2.
is it flashing red?
It was a minute ago.
That means the battery's probably low.
Well, I pushed the
No, we
button.
pushed the button.
Okay.
Is that muted? Is that what happened?
Probably.
It did because when I tested, it didn't say anything, but it did when I turned it green.
Now it's red.
Now say it. Say testing 1 2.
Dude.
No, it's muted.
How about now?
It takes a second.
Oh, hello? I can hear myself.
See the green.
Oh, yeah. So we can press it when we want to talk
Just leave it on.
offline.
put a new sound system in for everybody's mic. That's what I was doing, I was testing everything. So it's all individual, where it was just one adjustment before. That's why I was testing everything.
Test, one, two, three.
I turned this way down. Actually, it's on still.
filthy. Much better, I can see.
We will reconvene our committee meeting. Bill?
We need a motion that during the closed session, there was only a discussion of actual or potential litigation, consultation with legal counsel concerning actual and potential litigation, and the acquisition or disposition of real property.
So moved.
Mr. Pack?
Second. Second.
Get the clerk call the question.
Councilman Brooks?
Yes.
Councilman Smith? Councilman Pack?
Yes.
Councilman Collins?
Yes.
Councilman Gibbs?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Butler?
Yes. The first thing on our agenda is public safety with Councilman Collins.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Okay, I'm going to open the Public Safety Committee, start off with Chief Al.
All right. Good afternoon, Vice Mayor and members of council. In the form of operational updates, I would just like to advise and state that on the night of the fireworks, when we reversed the traffic on the bridge, that went off without a hitch. We were able to clear the traffic from downtown in approximately 40 minutes. There were no complaints of the traffic reversal, so that was very successful, along with the other things that we did as far as trying to dump the traffic. And the other operational update, as of recently, within the last week, you all may have received an email about shots fired in the area of Jersey Park, Ren Road. That is still an active investigation. However, we did have a camera in the area, and we are going through the video footage to try to find those that are responsible for shooting in the community on that evening. There was no injuries, but there was some property damage. There was a vehicle that was hit, and there was an empty apartment that was also struck. Management is aware and working in conjunction with the police to try to remedy the issue. That concludes any operational updates that I may have, and I'd be more than happy to answer any of council's questions.
Any questions from council?
Yeah, curious about the motorcycle accident that happened at 7-Eleven.
Motorcycle.
It wasn't an accident, but it was an incident involving bikers.
Yes, what it was, that actually occurred on the James River Bridge. A motorcyclist, I guess in the hierarchy of riding motorcycles, if you're with I'm gonna call it a club. And if you're gonna pass that club, I guess you have to be granted permission. Apparently, this motorcyclist went past, been granted permission. Someone within the organization did not like the fact that he was passing, pulled out in front of him, and he went around him. It caused some hard feelings. They went to 7-Eleven. The group of motorcyclists pulled in behind him, began to assault by kicking him in the head and things of that nature. We responded, as well as the county. They were actually stopped down in the Rushmere area, and we were able to find the predominant aggressors, and were able to charge 2 for the assault on the gentleman. There may be some additional charges that may be forthcoming.
Good.
You cleaned that up very well. That was very well said. Any other questions? And with that, thank you, Chief. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I will close the Public Safety Committee.
Finance?
Yes, at this time I'd like to open the Finance Committee with myself as the chair and Councilwoman Butler and Councilman Smith joining me. We're going to start off with our June financial statements. Ms. Ross.
Vice Mayor and members of council, you have your packet, the financial packet, in front of you, and it says preliminary, if you notice at the top of that. We are awaiting some insurance accruals and payroll accruals. That's at least for last year, because our payroll period for the first part of July is split between June and July, so we have to do the accruals. We will have some adjustments to the June financial statements after the audit is done, because they always come up with things like accounts receivable, deferred income, deferred revenue, capital. That's just a few things, and depreciation. So once that's done, you'll be able to see the final, but that might be September, October. But so these are preliminary numbers, but they're pretty good as far as that goes. Just a few adjustments from here. Let's see, revenue to date collected, $11,122,930. That's 108% of budget. And the budgeted amount, let's see, for the real estate, we had, as you know, that was due on June the 17th, and collected through June the 30th, including delinquent, is $3,378,106 million. Our expenses through June the 30th, and again, this could change, is $9,786,022, or 95% of budgeted, what was budgeted. Let's see, utility taxes, as of June the 30th, they are 98.55% of what was budgeted, which tracks to the prior year. Business license total as of the end of June the 30th, and they were due April the 15th, is 115% of budget. If you want to go ahead and talk about debt, you have a list of that in your packet as well, might be on the last page of that. We have the loan that is payable each month ending in 8745, and that doesn't change month over month. It's $11,860. Total outstanding debt right now is $4,479,469. Do you have any questions on that?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
On that loan 8745,
Yeah.
is there, there may be a reason, but is there a reason to not pay that off? The only reason I ask is all of our investments are at 5.7 is the highest. This is 6.3, so looking at just from purely number, there could be reasons to not do it, you know, penalties and stuff like that, but we're actually paying for that loan instead of earning more than what we're paying.
We talked about that during the time that it was supposed to be rolled over. I think that was in December or November, and council had decided to go ahead and place it back with a loan versus paying it out of what we have left over. If I recall, I don't know the exact date of that, but that's always up for discussion.
Can we readdress that and
We can,
discuss that again?
we can reevaluate.
Again, because we're just paying, that's the only loan we're paying for. The other ones, we're earning more than what we're paying, so it makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, we can look at it.
Laura, I'm
Yes, ma'am.
sorry.
No, thank you.
I have a question about the real estate taxes. I know we had an era, we would bill for refuge on the real estate bills, and some citizens also got separate billing for refuge. Are we automatically refunding those people that have paid both bills, or have we had a lot of inquiries?
We haven't had a lot of inquiries, which is good. I think we've had maybe 3 or 4 inquiries, but what we've done is, a lot of times the real estate bill goes to the mortgage company, and they also pay out of that. But what had happened was some of the bills didn't include the mortgage company information, so out of your escrow, they include that. So what we've asked citizens to do is send that to your mortgage company and have them pay that. So there haven't been as many as normally would. You know, you'd think you'd have a lot of complaints, but we really didn't have that many.
Okay, those people that have been double billed, are we automatically making refunds? My parents were
Yes,
billed
yes,
with a
I'm sorry.
refuge bill within their real estate bill, and then they got a separate billing for $72.
Yeah.
And I just told them not to pay the separate
Yes,
billing.
ma'am, and we abated those.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
All righty.
Pardon me, council, don't forget to put your mic right to you when you're speaking.
Okay. So that's it about the financial statements. If we can, we'll move on to the June cash balances. And you'll see the June cash balances at the very end is $32 million. Some of our investments this month have earned us a total of $352,888.06. I included the bank accounts in there also, which I usually don't include. They do pay a tiny bit of interest on them, but that'll segue into our next discussion about the RFP for banking services. But the bank accounts right now only earned about 0.79 average, but that does not include our general fund account because we take most of the money out of that. But as you can see, our Virginia investment pool is paying well, as well as the sweep. I did take a look at our policy that is called the Fund Balance Policy dated 12/5/17. And in that policy, which does need to be updated, it says that we are supposed to keep 25% of our current annual operating budget in the general fund, which is, we are in compliance with that, because every time I do the investments and I do the overall forecast, I include that as a percentage in there and make sure we're compliant. But that's just in the general fund. I want to take a look at this and see if there's a way we can revise it, because if we keep it in an investment, it's not in the general fund, but it's at the same bank, we've got to look at, could we include those balances in there as well? It's always good to
It's a
look at.
liquidity thing when that was written, and if you can keep it liquid, I think that satisfies the basis of the policy. And would obviously make more sense.
Yeah, since we do have a lot of money out there.
Yes.
Let's see.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is the general fund just a checking account? Why couldn't you have a general fund checking and general fund money market?
Okay.
And just call them that, and it's still, it's all in the general fund.
Or change the name,
That's what I'm saying.
general fund, to not even be general fund, could be the bank accounts of the
Well,
town.
I mean, the general fund, people kind of consider that to be a generally accepted operating mechanism for local government. But if you just called it the general fund checking and general fund money market, would that solve your problem?
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to change your policy.
I'll try to provide that for next meeting.
Yeah. Again, I think when we looked at that in 2017, we want to make sure that we had access to our funds if needed, and they weren't, a couple days away or months away or whatever the case may be.
And that's as liquid as you get, is money
Yes.
market to checking.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if we want to talk about did you all have a chance to read through the information about the banking RFP? Let's see if I can pull that back up right here. There you go. Okay, that it's dated 7/22/24. And the committee, or the decision group, not the decision group, sort of went through and we did issue the RFP. Everybody responded. As we talked about before, Bank of Southside Virginia, Old Point Bank, and Town Bank. Everybody turned in their information timely. We went through all of that, and each one of the members ranked the banks based on several criteria that you'll see up in the section of the proposal ranking. And we had the top two banks come back and do a presentation so that we could ask questions. We would like to propose a specific bank, and we would like to base it on the following items: pricing, innovation, implementation, and customer service. While we cannot specifically provide exact fees, because our current bank does not, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, provide exact pricing for their services, so we're not able to do that, but it looks like it will be negligible, because we'll keep balances in the account. They'll be offset by earnings credit. So we would like to, and another mayor before said it would be good to give some of the banks that participated some part of the town's excess funds or town's funds, and what our recommendation would be to put or leave $1 million with Town Bank, 6-month CD, Bank of Southside Virginia, a $1 million 6-month CD, and move the majority of our services to Old Point Bank. We do have a loan in the amount of $840,000 with Town Bank, and that's listed in the information that we have about debt, and that's from a rollover from maturing debt 2020B. The original amount for that loan was $966,480, and we pay monthly $18,860. We also have a line of credit with $1 million at Town Bank, but have no draws on this line.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's 966, that's the one with the highest interest rate that we just looked at a little while ago?
That is.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you.
Randy, if I can ask
Yeah,
a question. Was online security or electronic security protocol also in the criteria of everyone?
Yeah.
It was, okay. And I assume Old Bank has the best, okay,
They do. They're-
okay, thank you.
So we recommend moving our services to Old Bank. Again, it would take, excuse me, Old Point Bank, not Old Bank, Old Point Bank. And that, of course, would require about 6 months of transition time, and we have a transition plan drawn up and ready, so we'll just have to, if you all will make a decision on that?
Are we using remote check capture now?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Old Point agreed to give us additional machines if the current ones that we have give it to us, not charge us for it, if our current machines won't work. But usually they have the same machines that work on different platforms, so of course it would just be when we put it in place and when we test it.
I was just wondering because of the distance. The current bank is closer to where we,
We do have coin and currency that needs to be deposited about once a month.
okay.
But we looked at having, what do they call the truck, the.
Carrier?
Vault,
Courier.
Courier, come and pick it up, and Old Point said they would offset that,
Oh, okay.
which is really good, because they could put the fee on our, hopefully on our bank fees, offset that.
Can I ask you a question?
It did.
Are all of our employees on a direct deposit? So we don't have checks anymore? Okay, good. Because we used to have employees that cashed their check and that was,
It's old school, Bill.
I
We're not old school anymore.
understand.
We're modern now.
There are still people in this world who cash their check on Fridays.
Yes, there are.
We offer pay cards for those that may not have
Yeah.
a bank account. So it's a recommendation of our treasurer that we move our banking services to BSV, to Old Point Bank.
Yes.
If there's no further discussion, we'll send this to council for consideration. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, that's all I have for today.
Okay. Back to my agenda here. Okay, we have a couple invoices today in excess of $20,000 which require council authorization. We have a draw on the football concession facility out of Luther Sports for Athens Building Corp. at $73,215.11. We have the bill from Blair Brothers here for the access road behind the Browns AME Church, $38,100. We have a diesel generator for $75,000 from Allpers. And then we have a loaded contribution for junior retirement system of $22,330. Any questions on these invoices? Hearing none, we'll send these to council on the consent agenda for consideration in our next scheduled meeting. Anything else to come before finance today?
I just have a
Yeah.
quick question. Was there an invoice removed from the,
Yes.
okay, thank you. I thought I saw it earlier. All
It's
right.
the same
I
one that
just
we've
thought- I
been
was like, did I just
waiting
miss
on
one?
additional information
Yes,
for.
okay, thank you.
All right, nothing else? Finance is closed.
There's only one additional item not listed on the committee that will be on council's agenda next month, and that's the motion to approve town council summary minutes from July 1st. Is there anything else to be discussed?
Only thing, this is just a FYI kind of deal. We were going to have some public hearings scheduled. However, the state code has changed the advertising requirements. And so because of that, it's going to wind up causing a delay in some of the items coming from planning commission to town council due to the extra time restrictions they put on it. So that's why those items aren't on here. So you'll have those next month, but just know that state code has changed on how the advertisements have to do. And so we may, they'll be, where before we used to come straight from planning commission to council on some items, it looks like that's not going to be feasible any longer. So just,
What is that code change?
The requirement now, and Bill, if you want to
It's-
talk more about it.
It used to be that you had it once a week for 2 successive weeks, but the last publishing date could be as 6 days. Now it's 7 days. And so we can't, if we use the Smithfield Times, you can't meet the 7-day
Days.
requirement. So you have to publish a week earlier, and with the planning commission, if that's the second Tuesday, the ad would have to go in the paper the next day, even if the planning commission had not acted favorably. And so on things like rezonings, you're not gonna be able to do it.
Okay.
So it's really unfortunate because it's gonna
It's
make the
gonna,
application.
it's gonna add bureaucracy to it.
It's terrible.
So do we have an option of using a different paper? I mean, the Daily Press or,
you can.
which is local and
You can.
You
probably more
can.
expensive.
It's more expensive,
Is
but
it
that,
considerably more expensive?
It's, yeah.
Sounds
it's been a
local.
while since we priced it, but it was, and so, you're right, with the paper, with the Times coming out on Wednesdays, we'll always
Yeah.
be in this situation where it's,
I just don't think that's being good stewards to our
Right.
community and, you know, the folks
Well,
that come
we can
from us.
start doing, I mean, there's no reason we can't start doing it in the Daily Press. It's just more expensive. And so we're gonna have to look at the cost of what applications cost.
Any
Well,
other
I
thoughts
think
out
it's
here?
worth
I
But I'll
mean,
tell you,
I think the cost is worth the benefit.
I think it's
well,
worth
I'll
looking.
tell you, the applicants are probably gonna say, I'm happy to pay the additional cost because time is money, particularly for.
Sure.
Yes.
And it stays relevant at that point too, because if you extend it another 30 days, you know,
Most people would say, I'd be happy to pay the incremental cost to save a month,
sure.
Yeah,
One day change did that.
that's right.
one day.
Okay.
Michael, can you check to see what
Yes,
the
ma'am,
cost
we will,
was?
we'll check.
There are some times when it would work, there are months, the way the days fall, there might be a couple of times during the whole year where you can still do it, under the,
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
but it's, most of them do not, because I went through and counted and it just doesn't work.
That's right.
Is there any thought that we're doing disservice to the community by not getting these published in a truly local paper like the Smithfield Times? Because I would imagine, I can't tell you the last time I read the Daily Press. There was an article about me in it, so I read it, and that was probably the last time. But I'm not going to go buy the Daily Press, whereas I read the Smithfield Times weekly, whether I want to or not. I mean, is there any thought about that? I mean, you know, the point of having a public notice is to make the public aware.
I look at the
Can
Daily
you
Press
give
as a
options?
local paper.
Well, I almost feel like, yeah, we could, but it's like, we ought to be consistent. It's like, so you don't have to go look in the Daily Press and the Smithfield Times. It ought to be like, all right, well, because of this change, we're gonna do most of the Daily Press now. And maybe we could, we have to post it on our website.
It's already,
anyhow, right?
it has to be on the
It's always
website.
on the
Okay,
website.
so maybe that could be the workaround
I
for it.
mean, we could probably get some numbers. There's probably, in strict public circulation, there might be, I don't know, I'm guessing there's as much or greater actual circulation with the Daily Press than there is Smithfield Times, but I don't know that.
Yeah,
But if we go to the Daily Press, does that mean the Smithfield Times won't say anything? Because Daily Press meets the requirement, so it gets it on the agenda.
Yeah, so
But then
you
it'll
will-
still be put in Smithfield Times
well, not unless you pay
on
for it
Wednesday,
twice.
unless you, that's what I was asking, would you do,
No,
Yeah,
I
just do
would,
the
I would
one?
suggest we just do the one at
Just
the
do the
elevated price and make sure that there's a forum on our website that's very clear to, that anybody's trying to access it.
Makes
that
sense.
Here's what's coming up, here's our public notices.
Well, how do you think citizens will feel?
Well,
At least the Daily Press would
I bet the
expedite.
opposite of whatever we decide.
I think there'll be more upset, the people that are standing there waiting for an application will be more upset if they have to wait another month. And then we have to,
Right, that's
we have
what
to
I think.
revisit all the facts again, because we're all scratching,
Yeah.
a month and a half for us going, okay.
Yeah, I prefer to keep it on the same timeline if there's a mechanism to do so, but make sure, I mean, the Daily Press is a local paper. It truly defines, I think probably more so than the Virginia Pilot.
It's approved by the court as a newspaper having general circulation and
In Alouette County or Smithfield, okay.
And I just heard from Tammy, she said on average, it's about $200 for the 2 weeks of advertising with the Times. And the last time she had to do it in the Daily Press, it was $800 for 2 weeks. So it's 4 times the
That's a
cost.
big difference.
well, you'd have to change your fee schedule.
So we can offer a express service or a, not express ours. I mean,
Well, the problem with that is people, I think you need to be consistent.
we gotta be consistent.
Yeah.
So that's we're talking an order of magnitude of 4 times. And that's twice because you gotta do it for the planning commission and for the council.
Do a little more thinking on that. for sure.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, it's a delay.
Right.
Right.
I just hate having to delay that stuff. If we don't have to. Well, actually, I guess we don't have to. It's a function of money. So that would take from a $400 publishing cost to a $1,600 publishing cost?
Right.
Mercy. The other side of that is we always get complaints about how expensive it is to apply for a
That's right.
special use permit. That special use permit, I think it's what, $450, something like
Right, so
that?
for a major project, that may not be too hard to stomach, but for
Yeah, but-
somebody, for a local
Little
citizen,
small.
that's
We
gonna
had,
be.
we had the
Yeah.
guy that wanted to build a apartment above the garage of his
Right,
daughter's house, so that he could, I mean, that's,
right.
yeah. That's not the kind of guy that, Mallory Florence probably doesn't care about that,
And
but that guy probably does, it's different.
I know we want to keep consistency, but I think in this case, options are better.
we can look at it and see if we can't develop, some sort of structure that would allow that as an option, but
I guess what is the norm? I mean, options to me can be confusing on our end.
well, the norm would be, we're gonna use the Smithfield Times, and you're gonna be a month between planning commission
Right.
and town council. The option would be you wanna pay more and be able to go back-to-back meetings.
Are we passing that expense off, or
We
are
would have to.
we would pass that expense off
You could put an express option of the fees.
on the
different.
application?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
So kind of misleading though, I feel like, well, if we felt like getting to it a little quicker, you pay us more, we will, but that's really,
Right, the optics of it may not be optimal. I mean, and there are times where there's enough that has to be reworked between meetings that it's not an issue, but
Tammy,
Just
now, we were
wanted to
talking
make
about
sure
this.
y'all were aware of
And
it.
she had thought that it came as a surprise because the big discussion had been that they were gonna do away with publication altogether and just allow it to be.
Electronic.
Just done on the website.
Right.
But that's not what happened.
No, and it seems to slowly be moving that way, but I'm not convinced it'll
It
fully get
extended, the earliest you can publish is 28 days. And now, given the fact that you have a month and a half really between meetings, that's kind of necessary, or can be necessary. And then the latest is 7 days. And so it used to be 21 and 6.
Well, that sounds like the topic for further discussion.
Yes.
If there is nothing else to discuss, I will adjourn our committee meeting for today.